So it's kind of important that I'm trying to make those little drawings of mine here, and just to still trying to disambiguate the fact that if I've written this file, if I created this file, I went to right click right here on the package name and said I want a new class because I want to define this house, right? And I created a new file, created a class in there. It doesn't mean that it's going to be created. At the same time, if I minimize some of this stuff, I guess I can close that part. You can actually say, I think somewhere here there's a way to new document tab group, right? I love this feature in NetBeans that you can have the split view, one file here, another one here. Remember, we started with our demo app, which is, by the way, another Java class, which we created originally. And NetBeans was kind enough to create a main method, which we know is the starting point of our application. So here, in order to have, let me just resize it a little bit more. In order to have our main method will be invoked, in order to create a house, I must say house. Okay, house, kind of type, house, house. How about this? Range, right? And we're going to say, okay, new house. New house, and we'll instantiate it this way. And then perhaps what I need to do is somehow say range set square feet and pass square feet, I don't know, 1500 square feet on that house. And then also would be very desirable to say this range house set type, right? And pass the type as range. Okay, range house. All right. So you sense that I never describe what set type is. Let's actually add it to our program here. We will say public void set type and use string type. I'll say type. How about this? House type. I'm doing this on purpose not to overcomplicate our syntax, so I'm just using a different name here. And then I can say type equals house type. And similarly, I can just say public get type with no parameters at all, and this thing will simply return the type, something like that. So let's discuss what's happening here. Well, first of all, let me see if I can save everything and if I can run it so it works. So I can run. Perhaps NetBeans can compile this for me and tell me if my syntax is okay and it doesn't, if it's not. Oh, actually, I did have some problems. So let's find out what they are. As you know, when I do experience those problems, what I do is I switch to the projects view, and I typically click on the name of the project, and I say build, right? So the purpose of this then becomes to build and tell me what. Oh, okay. I see what the problem is. It tells me cannot return a value from a method whose result type is void. I will. That's my plan to explain what it is. I just need to say that I'm returning a string. Okay. When I say get type returns back a string. Okay, I'm going to save this and try this again. Just hit the run button. It tells me build successful. The program doesn't print anything, doesn't interact with the user, so it actually started and exited immediately after completing the work. So let me check. We have some more, some more things to cover here. So let's talk about what is going on. First, let's take a look at our main method. Here's our main method. In this main method, we say range. Range is the name of the variable. New is the operator. An Java operator which actually creates objects, instantiates objects. Then we say new what? We say house. And house is the name of the class. This is how things are created in Java. In order to instantiate an object, you must say new and the name and give it the name of the class. It is being followed by a set of empty parentheses because we don't have any special methods to construct our house. We just said, okay, our house is going to have an integer square feet in it, and it will also keep track of its type, which is a string. But we never describe anything other special code or any other methods that would make it, that would require anything else, any other data when the house is created. Perhaps it could be desirable and we could add a constructor to our house, but that's the topic for a different day. It's not for today. Today we just want to focus on some very, very basic elements of class and the way it's being used. So, going back to our main method. So when we say new house, okay? When we say new house, new operator, when it gets compiled, the result of what is being compiled is actually the code that allocates space for these two elements in memory. And that's the little part that I tried to describe as this 3D box, okay? So new does this. Before new, this doesn't exist. Once we say new, it gets created. Once it gets created, basically, and supposedly that this is our main method right here that says new. Somewhere in this file that's named demo app .java. It has a main method, right? And somewhere here we say new. So what new house part of our program returns is actually a reference to this object. So new returns back a reference. Essentially, what reference is? It's an address. It's an address in memory. A reference in Java is a type of variable that keeps track of objects in memory. And so new does exactly that. It creates the house type of object and then says, okay, I am returning back a reference to it. So now you can store it. To store the reference to my brand new house here, I use the variable name range. And of course, the type of this variable is also a house. So it's somewhat confusing to say house range equals new house. You know, we could have just said, you know, maybe we could have done, you know, maybe Java creators could have done something like that. Just kind of say, okay, house range equals new, presuming that it's a new type of range. However, more complicated scenarios exist where in this type of variable, which is a house type, I name it range, right? I could name it a colonial, right? Something like that. It's just my variable name choice. But there are other situations in which you could be created other types of objects and capturing their references in the house type, and especially when the hierarchies of objects exist. So we're not going to talk about this today, but we just get used to this type of syntax. The type of variable is house. We know it's described by this class. Therefore, a brand new object will definitely be created in memory when we say new. Because of that, we will be given a reference to that object. And the reference of that object has to be stored in a variable. So this is the way, it's a very typical line of code that basically says, and now once we define the house elsewhere in this particular area, we can now create it in our main program. Of course, this main method could call something else, invoke another method, and that method could have created the house. So let me stop recording.